You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Village Board meeting of the Mayor and Board of Trustees for December 8th, 2021. And we will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll have a few announcements here. Well, anybody who's been alive, has at least watched the news or whatever, knows that yesterday was the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. So, 2,403 people died on that dreadful day. And on the 8th, we declared war. And there was another attack at the Philippines, at Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines. We were just about wiped out militarily in the whole Pacific Fleet area. But the bottom line is the country came together and the industries of this country shut down their manufacturing lines, and they built arms for the war effort. General Motors, Ford, Boeing, all across the board. They didn't make cars for 5-6 years. You can always tell a pre-World War II car had running boards. After World War II, no running boards. So that gives you an idea. But for those 2,403 souls who passed away on that day, I think they deserve a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, and we had the Christmas event, very well attended. In fact, I must say, every event that we had this year was extremely well attended. And so that's a good sign, I guess. So the rec committee deserves yeoman's effort, and the volunteers deserve yeoman's effort for all the events that they did and the time they spent.
Mayor, we must not forget Hogan's Tree Service for helping us put the lights on the tree.
Yes, and Hogan's Tree Service.
Yeah, that was critical. You know, in the 11th hour, Trustee Huber, you know, brought it to their attention. Pat and I, you know, we all got in and they donated when it looked like we might, in the first time in 50 years, not have Christmas trees. We had no other avenue, so it was really great. And all the people that small group of people, Kevin being one of them, decorating the park. It was pretty impressive what they got done with a few, a small group of people.
So, no good deed goes unnoticed. So, roll call.
Mayor Sereno,
Present.
Trustee Sadati,
Yeah.
Trustee Ponte, Trustee Nesnek,
Here.
Trustee Huber,
Present.
Trustee Ruffin,
Present.
Trustee Loricella,
Here.
Village Attorney Wallace.
Here.
Okay. So we have this continuation of a public hearing for, this one is local law number 1 of year 2021. You want to read it or you want me?
We've already discussed, read all of this, Mayor. Tonight is a continuation of the hearing. We heard from one resident, if you recall,
Yes.
the last time, and I put that in the minutes.
Margaret Walker, was it?
Margaret Walker, correct. So tonight, if there's any further discussion, you can do that. If not, you can close the hearing and you can vote tonight.
Well, for those who aren't familiar, this one is to allow for the Village of Wappinger Falls to opt out of hosting on-site consumption establishments within its boundaries of cannabis consumption establishments within the Village of Wappinger Falls. That's what this is about.
That's local law 1. There. And local law 2 is the proposed.
Local law 1, adopt pursuant to cannabis law 131, opting out of licensing and establishing on-site cannabis consumption establishments within the Village of Wappinger Falls. The purpose and intent of the proposed local law is to allow the Village of Wappinger Falls to opt out of hosting on-site consumption and establishments within the boundaries.
So, before we close it, so just further explain, a yes vote means what and a no vote means what?
Before you can, the board can even act on this, the public hearing would have to be closed, of course, okay? At that point in time, if it's the pleasure of the board to consider the local laws, the way it is written is opt out. So if you do not wish to have a consumption establishment, you would vote to adopt local law number 1. If you wish to have a dispensary, the opportunity for the village to have a dispensary, which is local law number 2, you would take no action on that particular local law,
And you're automatically in.
and you're automatically in. When you opt out, you could always opt in later on.
So, on the opt in,
You either take no action or you defeat the local law. But they're one and the same. If you take no action, it's deemed that you have opted in. So that's no action by December 31st this year.
so the first item that comes up is the consumption Is that correct?
Yes.
So, is that a yay vote or a no vote? If I don't want to have the consumption,
And you would vote yay.
I vote yay. And assuming if it carries, then we don't allow the consumption in a,
The village will have deemed to have opted out. It's subject to permissive referendum. It can be
if
challenged.
someone wants to challenge it, then they would have to go through the procedure to get, to meet the requirements of permissive referendum, whatever amount of votes they need or signatures they need.
Correct.
Okay. And then the other item would be just no action or a no vote, or I guess it would be a no vote then.
There'd be a no vote if that is the pleasure of each trustee, or, you would need 4 votes.
Okay,
So a no vote would mean we can sell it,
That's
and a
right.
yay vote would mean we can't consume it in an establishment.
Right.
correct.
With respect to local law 1.
Previously, I thought the consensus of the board was had no issue with the dispensaries, but we didn't want to have the smoking.
Correct.
That's my feeling.
So, Mayor, why don't you just...
So, is there any other discussion on this? And I'll close the public hearings. We'll close the public hearings. Hearings closed.
You got to vote on it.
Close the public hearing.
Need a motion to close the public hearing for local
Anybody
law.
want to make a motion?
I'll make it.
Trustee Huber.
Trustee Huber and Pop. Trustee Pop.
All in favor?
Aye. Mayor votes aye.
The next one is local law 2, a local law for cannabis opting out of licensing and establishing retail cannabis dispensaries within the village of Wappingers Falls.
Any more discussion on that?
Make a motion to close.
Make a motion to close by trustee
Second.
Huber. Trustee Laura seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Mayor
Aye.
votes aye.
All right. Action on minutes, November 10th and November 29th.
Is there a motion to
I'll make
accept
it.
the minutes
I'll
as,
make the motion, accept the minutes.
and a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Laura all in favor?
Mayor votes aye.
Carried. At this point, I'd like to draw your attention to local law 1 of 2021 that you just closed the hearing on. It's a local law adopted pursuant to cannabis law, opting out of licensing and establishing on-site cannabis consumption establishments within the village of Wappingers Falls. Be it enacted by the village trustees, Village of Wappingers Falls as follows. Legislative intent. It is the intent of the local law to opt the Village of Wappingers Falls out of hosting on-site cannabis consumption establishments within its boundaries. Authority. This local law is adopted pursuant to Cannabis Law 131, which expressly authorizes cities and villages to opt out of allowing on-site cannabis consumption establishments to locate and operate within their boundaries. Section 3, local cannabis on-site consumption opt-out. The Board of Trustees of the Village of Wappingers Falls, Dutchess County, hereby opts out of allowing on-site cannabis consumption establishments from locating and operating within the boundaries of the Village of Wappingers Falls. If a court determines that any clause, sentence, paragraph, subdivision, or part of this local law or the application thereof to any person, firm, or corporation or circumstance is invalid or unconstitutional, the court's order of judgment shall not affect, impair, or invalidate the remainder of the local law, but shall be confined in its operation to the clause, sentence, paragraph, subdivision, or part of the local law or in its application to the person, individual, firm, or corporation, or circumstance directly involved in the controversy in which the judgment or order shall be rendered. Section 5, numbering for codification. It is the intent of the Village of Wappingers Falls, and it is hereby enacted that the provisions of the local law should be included in the Code of Village of Wappingers Falls, that the sections and subsections of the local law may be renumbered or relettered by a codifier to establish such intention, that the codifier shall make no substantious changes to the local law, that the words local law shall be changed to chapter, section, or that the appropriate word or required for codification, that any such rearranging of the numbering and editing shall not take effect of the validity of the local law or the provisions. Effective date. This local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. This local law is subject to the permissive referendum and thus may not be filed with Secretary of State until the applicable time period has elapsed to file the petition, or a referendum has been conducted approving the local law. So that's the local law. The resolution. The resolution introducing the local law number 1 for the year 2021, a local law adopted pursuant to the Cannabis Law 131, opting out of licensing and establishing an on-site cannabis consumption establishment within the Village of Wappingers Falls. Whereas the Village Board has determined that pursuant to 617, the proposed adoption of the aforementioned local law is a Type 2 action not requiring environmental review pursuant to the Environmental Quality Act seeker, and accordingly no environmental review has been undertaken. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board hereby introduces for consideration of its adoption Local Law 1 of the year 2021, a local law adopted pursuant to Law 131, opting out of licensing the establishing on-site cannabis consumption establishments within the Village of Wappingers Falls. Be it further resolved that the Village Board hereby schedules a public hearing, which we did, here at the Village Hall, Wappingers Falls, and the clerk was directed to post a notice of public hearing in the form annexed, and we did that. This local law is subject to the permissive referendum. So at this point, you can vote to approve by a yea vote or a nay vote.
So this is for the consumption establishments, and a yea vote nullifies it.
A yea vote opts out. A yea vote means it will be illegal within the confines of the village.
You said it would be illegal?
Yeah, it will not be,
You're not
will
allowed.
not be allowed.
Well, is it just
You mean the establishment,
in
not the pot?
the, in
The
the,
establishment, of course.
okay.
Yeah.
On-site consumption establishments will not be allowed to operate within the confines of the village.
So a yay says that no consumption.
Correct.
This is,
It is awkward, it's awkwardly
Just like
written.
opposite.
I know.
Yes.
Just say yes or no.
Let's just vote real quick.
I'll make that
before I forget
motion.
it.
Say yes or no.
okay, so, okay, so
Wait,
for the record, it's introduced by Adam and seconded by Mike. Correct?
correct. Thank you.
The resolution was introduced by,
I got it.
okay.
So, roll call vote. Mayor Sereno.
Aye.
Trustee Huber.
Aye.
Trustee Sidoti. Aye. Trustee Nesnick.
Aye.
Trustee Ruffin.
Aye.
Trustee Ponte.
Aye.
Trustee Larissella.
Aye.
Carried. Local Law 2.
Before we
John,
continue, John? Oh, yeah,
That's right, go
you're
ahead.
right. Authorization to pay
We
bills.
skipped
or
over that.
approved warrants. Could we just backtrack for a sec?
Sure.
Sorry about that.
I thought the clerk had another motive for missing that, but I guess not, he overlooked it. Finance Committee has reviewed the bills.
We have, I do have one, particular question about, I saw, we paid close to over $5,000 to install, a security system in the unusable boathouse that is unable to get a CO. I just
At the present time.
thought that's good enough.
I think that's part of the closeout of the permit, 'cause it has the fire alarm in it, if I remember correctly, John?
The building inspector said to me that among
It's one item.
certain items that we didn't receive, we didn't have an alarm
Right.
system. So I came to this board with quotes, and you all approved Doyle.
Right, but that was pre, and maybe things have changed, but it seems to have been pre, the conversation with our building inspector about how the state had suggested we will not be able to operate the building. Remember that whole big thing we went through?
I guess, yeah. I don't know, I was asked to put a
We
system.
needed that we needed an alarm system in there. I'm pretty sure it's for the fire alarm, not a burglar alarm.
No, it's both.
It's both.
Well, it should have been a fire alarm.
The fire alarm was there and put in by a different company some time back.
Yes, so what he needed
I was told to go out and get quotes for an alarm system, which I did. And I came to the board and I told you all what the prices were.
Yes, so what we needed was, or, I don't want to speak for Brian, but I think this is how it went, was somebody to monitor. He needed to know who's monitoring the building because of a large building like that needed an alarm system. I'm not
Sure.
I'm not sure about a burglar alarm, but a fire alarm.
Well,
yes.
that makes,
So that's one of the things to close out the permit to get the grant money that we are allocated for.
so this is to get the.
For the reimbursement.
The reimbursement of the money.
This
that's-
is
Working towards the CO also.
Yeah, and working towards the CO.
This is part of.
Okay, so now we're gonna go back to trying to, okay, that's
One
fine.
of the things that's-
The last conversation we had with the building inspector, I thought, was that the state had made a ruling,
That's with the heat, that was with the heat, we talked, no heat in the building because there was no R value in the.
right.
Now, that is a whole nother discussion about the heat.
Yes,
Because
that should be turned off.
the building inspector is not gonna do anything until that heat is turned off by a professional
Right.
soon.
Okay, so
I don't know.
we're
I'm
moving
working-
towards that.
I'm trying to work on that too. That was one of Corey's jobs that left a void, and I'm trying to fill it.
Okay.
And I had the guy here from Swartz Architecture the other day, Michael Buffy, and he's gonna go find out who this professional person is to come down and winterize it, I guess you could call it.
Okay, great,
So I'm working on that part of it.
okay, perfect,
So that'll help us
Okay.
to get Brian to move along,
gotcha,
okay?
okay. Thank you for it.
So is that?
So, that was my only one, I didn't have an opportunity to ask.
Yeah, we all kind of noticed your comments on that bill.
I think it's a valid one,
Oh,
based
yeah.
on our last conversation that we had with the building inspector, that was subsequent our original approval to get the alarm system.
Yep.
So,
Otherwise, if we don't make those comments, what's the point in going and doing it, right?
so is that bill?
You're doing your due diligence.
I signed the bill.
No, I know.
Oh, okay, that was my question.
Yeah, I signed it, I just
Okay.
wanted my friends over there to get a chuckle on it, so.
They did.
Alright, good. Thank you. So, yeah, everything seemed to be good.
So
Right,
is
do you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Is there a motion to
I'll make that motion.
pay the bills and a second? And a second by trustee Pompey. All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Local Law 2, 2021.
local law 2 now?
I guess so. We finished local law 1, we voted on it.
Okay.
Do we need to vote on number 2?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make the motion on number 2.
Second. I think John needs to read it, right?
The resolution, you had the local law. The resolution is similar to the other one. Whereas pursuant to the Cannabis Law 131, the Village Board, Village of Wappingers Falls desires to opt out of hosting retail cannabis dispensaries within the boundaries.
So for this one, if we opt out,
That's number 2,
That's a no vote, if you want to opt out.
right? Be it resolved that the Village Board introduces for consideration of its adoption Local Law 2 of the year 2021, a local law adopted pursuant to Cannabis Law 131, opting out of licensing and establishing retail cannabis dispensaries within the Village of Wappingers Falls. We scheduled the hearing, we closed the hearing according to the rules. So,
if we agree with this, we say yay. But if we want to allow the dispensaries, we say nay.
Correct.
Okay.
I have trustee Laurasetta, introduced it, seconded by
Trustee Ruffin?
trustee Ruffin. Roll call vote. Mayor Sereno,
Nay.
trustee Huber,
Nay.
trustee Sadati,
Nay.
trustee Nesnick,
Nay.
trustee Ruffin, trustee Ponte,
Nay.
trustee Laurasella,
Nay.
unanimously carried
With nays.
with nays. All 7.
Okay, tomorrow, I will work with John Cars in setting up the correct procedures for the referendum, the permissive referendum for local law number 1, which will, once that is complete, which will be 20 days after tomorrow, we'll then send that certification up to Albany,
Okay,
okay?
okay.
I think we're gonna have to advertise the procedures for a permissive referendum will have to be followed, and then we can send up the results of the vote.
So not to file local law 1 tomorrow with the state?
Don't file it.
Okay, all right,
It requires a special certification,
okay,
so Daniel,
that's good, I'll wait. Yeah, work with me. It's a little bit different from our standard procedure, so.
Yeah, there's a specific way.
Okay.
We'll get it done.
Okay, we have another resolution. Resolution introducing a local law for the year 2021, amending Chapter 148, Water Use and Connections, definitions of the code in the Village of Wappingers Falls. Whereas the Village Board of Trustees desires to appoint 2 alternate commissioners to the Board of Water Commissioners. And whereas the definition of Board of Water Commissioners under 148-2 currently does not set forth provisions for appointing alternate commissioners, and therefore needs to be amended. Whereas the Village Board has determined that pursuant to 616.5, the proposed adoption of the aforementioned local law is a Type 2 action not requiring environmental review pursuant to state seeker responsibilities accordingly. Be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby introduces consideration of its adoption of a local law for 2021, amending Chapter 148. Definitions of Code of Village of Wappingers Falls at Form Annexed here too. Be it further resolved that the Village Board hereby schedules a public hearing regarding the proposed adoption of the local law. So what you're going to vote is to direct me to schedule a public hearing for that particular local law, which I don't know if we have enough time between now and the 29th. If I can get it in next week, next Wednesday's paper, which will be the 15th, I can get it in for the 29th.
Maybe 22nd.
unless you prefer to do it in January 12th.
See if we can get it in from the next board meeting, or the next workshop meeting.
Well, that's the 22nd.
Yeah.
Okay, you're making a motion, Kevin?
Yes, I'm making a motion. Be the 22nd.
No, 29th.
It's the last Wednesday of the month?
It always is. It's always the last Wednesday of the month.
Well, the board can make that decision.
Right.
Unless you want to change because of the holiday.
Well, if you change it to the 22nd, you can't get this in for,
It just says the 22nd here, so that's why I wanted to
John, can you
clarify.
do that by the 22nd?
Well, we
Give me
thought
10
we-
days.
No, well,
I'd go to the
Are any of us?
29th.
if you want to pay, I mean, I can get it in the Poughkeepsie Journal, but you're going to pay 5 times the amount. Is it really that hot?
I'm just clarifying the date that's written on the paper. We're switching this
Yeah,
22nd
this
to the
paper
29th?
says the 22nd, that's what he's saying.
That's up to the mayor.
The meeting is supposed to be 29th.
This can be changed.
well, this was an add-on at the last.
This, we
minute,
had
but
this,
I thought the board might have preferred to have the meeting the 22nd before this item hit the agenda. Okay.
Right, well, whatever, I just want to clarify the date, whatever the date may be. It says 22nd, we're saying 29th, we're switching it to the
Assuming this item isn't so hot, what is the board's preference for the meeting? for the
29th.
workshop?
29th.
29th. It's not a holiday, the 29th. The 31st is the holiday. It's a Friday,
29th.
or the 30th.
So we're doing it the 29th.
Okay, so the workshop will follow its normal course last Wednesday of the month.
I want to make sure we're gonna have a quorum. on the 29th.
yes, everybody going to be here on the 29th or out of town or somewhere?
I'll be here.
I may not be here just because of the 5 o'clock thing, but
Can we change?
I'll be in town.
Oh, wait,
long
it
as
says
the
here on
weather
paper
is-
7.
Oh, it's at 7? Oh,
It
I'll
says
be-
7 PM.
Does it need to be at 7?
All of that can be changed. I can just type it
Can you do 6?
tomorrow.
I could probably do 6.
Can we do 6 instead
5
of
is
7?
not possible. But it's a little
For the
uneasy.
workshop, is that what you're talking about? 6 o'clock for the workshop?
I just said 5 is just not possible for me. I have work obligations. I could make probably 6
There was a
o'clock.
question from the trustee to the far left here. Was 6 o'clock
I think I
doable?
can do that.
Okay, well, there you go.
I am hesitant though, because in the event that I can't, it's like I can't. I do have, I will do my best to get out and here by 6.
So everybody agrees with 6? So
Thank you.
we have a motion, trustee Huber, to have the meeting on the 29th at 6 PM
I'll second that motion.
for the public hearing. Mayor Sereno.
Aye.
Trustee Huber.
Aye.
Trustee Sadati. Trustee Nesnick.
Aye.
Trustee Ruffin.
Aye.
Trustee Ponte.
Aye.
Trustee Lauricella.
Aye,
Carried.
thank you.
I'll schedule that public hearing. It should be in next Wednesday's paper. I'll make sure it is. I always try to verify that. Another local law entitled in the year of 2021, amending Chapter 148, water use and connections. There's a lot there. What, Mayor, do you know about this?
Yeah, the summary of this local law is that we've been operating under the same rules for 100 years. And we only had 3 voting members of the water board plus the mayor. And this, we discovered that there were no provisions for alternates, so we're just formally setting a local law provision and amending like the present roster and adding 2 alternates so that the board has a little more versatility and can function,
To meet a quorum, is what it basically is for.
and to function and pass legislation, if need be, action.
Okay, so I will get that hearing in. You all have the wording for the local law for the 29th at 6 PM. Resolution authorizing the release of security posted in connection with the Ormonder Development Corporation. They did work up there on Route 9 by McDonald's, and in order for them to do that work, the village demanded $4,900 in security. We're told that the work that they planned on doing was done to the satisfaction of the village, and that you may now return that $4,900 back to Ormonder Development Corporation.
Who signed off on that? Like, was that something from our highway department, something from our engineer,
Brian,
Brian?
That was in 2019,
April,
of 2019?
correct.
Well, only one member of this board was there, so
I'll make a motion to return the money due under, if it's okay with Brian. And since we're in this receipt of it, I'm assuming it is.
And we have a second on that.
Can I just ask you, just give me 1 minute, please. Does this mean that the matter was essentially a stalemate?
so what happened was, one of the conditions of the site plan was that shrubbery had to be placed in a certain area on the site plan. And that area happens to be within the state DOT right away. DOT will not allow that.
Gotcha.
So it's a relaxation of that condition.
They didn't think of putting in a provision, like something secondary, get something different for it?
I don't think it was de minimis, the change, I believe.
All right, cool. That makes sense then. Thank you for that clarification.
Can I make a second on this?
oh, sure.
All right, great, thank you.
Mike seconds it.
Mayor Sereno,
Aye.
Trustee Huber,
Aye.
Trustee Sidoti,
Aye.
Trustee Nesnick,
Aye.
Trustee Ruffin,
Aye.
Trustee Ponte,
Aye.
Trustee Larissella.
Aye.
Carried, unanimous. At this point, you're going to want to move this particular item to executive session as it has to do with litigation.
Okay.
Have a motion to adjourn that to the executive session.
We'll just bypass it.
Okay. Approval of St. Patrick's Day Parade, March 5th, 2022.
I'll make it.
And a second? And Ponte, trustee Ponte has seconded it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. I'd like to draw your attention to the packet, this packet right here. Board. In past years, I've been working with a company called Spyglass. And what they do is, they're a company that will come in and they will audit all our phone bills, our Central Hudson bills, our cell phone bills. And if they find that we're paying for a service that we're not receiving, they will tell us about it. They will take 50% of what they find as payment to them for providing that service. If you look into that package, you'll see in 2015, after they did the audit, we saved $9,000. In 2018, when I brought them back again, the village saved $11,000.
Wow.
I work very closely with this group. They work all over the United States. They're very good, they're very thorough. The only work we have to do is provide them with the actual bills so they can see the accounts. And I can do that within minutes. They take that data and they go out. For example, they found we were paying for Route 9 streetlights that were in the town of Wappinger at one point. We were paying for phone lines that we no longer used. So they're very good at it. Of course, they're gonna be good at it, because the more they find, the more they make. So I would like to do year 3 now with them.
Is there any out-of-pocket expense?
Not for us.
Everybody finds this.
I didn't know if there was an initial fee.
I have, that's why I printed the previous contract that I had the village attorney look at. And I have their new contract there as well. And I would like to engage them. It's just another thing I can do to save the village money.
It's considered a professional service.
They're very professional.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
We're probably not gonna find as much as we did in the past, but I think it'll be good. Trustee Huber, trustee Larissella,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Carried. Mayor, this, you know more about this than I do.
Well-
Approval to hire Passaro's engineering support for LWRP grant.
Well, this was a engineering change from a new engineering group for the LWRP grants for these last 3 items. The silt sucker, the biochars in Dover, and the biochar at St. Nicholas Road,
Green Pond.
Green Pond. They replaced Zaworski from KC, I guess. So they need an engineer, so this is who we got. So need an engineer, so this is it.
Is this our engineer or Casey's engineer?
This is our engineer for,
Okay, so it'll no longer be Casey then, correct?
it should not be,
Okay.
For LWRP.
that for LWRP, that's correct. So, I need a motion, I need a second.
I'll make the motion.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mayor votes aye.
Just this item is for your awareness only. Ms. Heather McCormick has resigned as CSEA Administrative Unit President. Ms. Kathleen Fitzpatrick of CSEA Southern Region Office has taken her place. So that means we don't have a president here on site. It's going to be from the home office. Okay, accept resignation of Treasurer McMahon effective 12/24/21.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Opposed? Carried. Letter of retirement received from Miss Donna Cantelmo, Chief Court Clerk. Retirement effective January 2nd, 22.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Accept letter of resignation, Water Commissioner Mary Morris.
No, let's take a vote on that.
Oh, thought we did, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Accept letter of resignation, Water Commissioner Mary Morris, effective 11/30/21.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 0. Carried. Accept resignation of Miss Heidi Murphy, Zoning Board of Appeals, effective 12/2/21.
I'll make the motion.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval to fill vacancy of the ZBA member and alternate. Mayor.
Vince Harvey is on the ZBA. He's an alternate right now. So I'm going to ask the board to approve him.
I'll make it.
As the full member.
I'll make a motion Vincent Harvey be the full member of the ZBA.
Second.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Nay. What was in there? Just for the record. Oh,
Your nay?
nay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Carried. You, Mayor, you gonna name an alternate?
I was, but I'm not now.
Okay. Okay. Approval to have the Deputy Treasurer, John Carge, be the holder and keeper of one of two keys to the Treasurer's office.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval to waiver grease trap annex requirements, number 9, South Missouri Avenue.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Okay. Opposed? Carried. Approval,
Can I just make one comment about that? Our village code calls for all grease traps to have a specific design standard. It's tied to the DEC publication, and it's been approved by our Dutchess County Department of Health. So just make it conditioned upon County Board of Health or Department of Health design approval.
Well, the applicant should know what the specs are, right? Correct?
Well, yeah, but it's just common sense that they'll have to have, meet the approval of that board, that body's design specialist.
I'm sure he talked to Brian about it. I'm sure Brian sent him in the right direction.
so can we,
And that's separate from us. It's not, I don't have a problem with that, but that's separate from us.
Yeah, I mean, at some point when they come in to do the indoor grease trap, it's gonna be inspected and whatever, and if it's the wrong size or whatever, they're gonna have to say, sorry, try again.
Essentially, the external grease trap that the board has been adhering to throughout the years, this requirement as legislated has been that way in an effort to hold maintenance, enforcement, oversight, and maintenance of the device.
I need some clarification.
The applicant here in this letter that he addressed to the mayor and the board states that we are asking for internal grease trap. We are willing to show records biannually and provide access for inspections as requested. Similarly to the other variances we have done in very close proximity to time. This is nothing different than we've already been doing and have done. We're about to move to have the internal grease traps in general. So, I mean, I don't have a problem stipulating that it's got to follow Board of Health approval, but, I want to be clear that I don't think that the Board of Health should have the right to tell us we'll approve an external grease trap. That's the point of this requested waiver and variance, which we have done for the other applicants.
I think for clarification purposes, they set the design standard. That's all.
Yeah, so that's what I'm just saying. I just want to make sure that that's what, I mean, obviously, they have no choice but to follow the Department of Health as they should. It's our obligation, we need to make sure that they're keeping our residents and the people that are visiting healthy and doing this proper standard. But I just don't want it to come back as, you gotta follow what was legislated. That's all.
Agreed.
So is there a way to stipulate that now that we've voted? Counselor?
There's really no, I mean, they're not going to second guess this board's decision to vary from an indoor or outdoor system.
No, I appreciate that. I'm saying, so what, you just give us counsel. How do we do it now moving forward?
Well, as long as, I mean, as long as when they do submit their plan, the County Board of Health is gonna come and inspect, and they're going to give guidelines for maintenance, of course, and for design. Before anything is installed, I think that, that has to go through the Department of Health.
Right.
Maintenance, design, and inspection intervals?
Yeah.
So you want to reword your motion?
Well, that's what I'm asking. That's the
It would
pointed question I'm asking.
The motion can be in the same format that you just had, subject to
Board of
Dutchess
Health.
County Department of Health
Perfect.
approvals.
So I'll make the motion
I'll second it.
based on Dutchess County Department of Health approvals.
So we reversed that. We had
Yeah.
Adam making the motion and trustee Hoover second. All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
Opposed? Carried. At this point, I'd like to draw your attention again to this package. Last page. I am in receipt of one of the two firehouses required December minutes of their 22 lineup. This is for your approval. William T. Garner, Assistant Fire Chief Jason Ensign, Captain Mike Sharp, Assistant Captain Thomas Kellerman, First Lieutenant Robert Ward, Second Lieutenant Joe Krieger, Second Lieutenant Joe Giordano, 6811 Engineer John Basher, 6811 Assistant Engineer Stephen Pano, 6845 Engineer Adam Van Tassel, 6868 Engineer Mike Brown, 6868 Assistant Engineers Thomas Kellerman. I think 68, okay, those are the three vehicles they have. President is Gary Rogers, Vice President is Adam Van Tassel, Secretary Danielle Masterson, Treasurer Mike Brown, Custodian Jason Ensign, Chaplain Dave Traver, till Dave Traver passed away,
No,
didn't he?
no, that was,
Oh, that was Robert, okay.
that was
Sorry for that. Trustee Pat, number 1 is Pat Brown, trustee number 2, Adam Van Tassel, and trustee number 3 is Jason Ensign. And the reason I'm reading this off to you and why it's so important is because some of these are paid positions. So I give this to the treasurer tomorrow after you vote, and she'll make the adjustments on who gets paid and who doesn't. Can I have a motion to accept?
So are these all new positions, or some of these, I was told some of these people that are in the positions that they're in right now were good until 2023. So is this just a carry over into the new year, or is this a
No.
new vote?
The only one that's getting carried over, or the only one that's good until 2023 is Chief Jason Ensign. The rest are voted on every year. The captains, the assistant captain, the lieutenants, the engineers, the president, the assistant engineers, and everybody else. the
So
only one-
Assistant Fire Chief Jason Ensign is, whether
Every
we
two-
vote on it or not, is good till 2023.
Correct.
And it's all the rest of them below that.
Or once a year.
they did their vote,
Chiefs are every 2 years,
and
and they alternate houses. So the chief's up at Station 2.
Yeah, that I know. I was confused when I just didn't think the assistant chief position was up until next year, and apparently it's not.
Their bylaws control.
We're not voting on the assistant chief, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Thanks for clarifying.
So can we have a motion to accept that correspondence?
I'll make the motion.
Seconded by trustee Ponte. All in favor?
Aye.
Now, this is an annual requirement. Failure for the other house to give me their minutes and have them approved by this board by January 1st would mean they don't have a lineup for 22.
We have a lineup. He was supposed to send them to you last night. I don't know what happened.
You sent it to me?
He was supposed to send it to you.
Who did?
Jerry Travis. He asked if we had a meeting tonight, and I said yes, so he supposed to.
I spoke with him. I spoke with him yesterday about it, and I did not receive it, and he may have sent it because my email address got changed 3 weeks ago. It's supposed to go, it can still go to the old one and come to me at the new one, and it does at times, but not always. So, you're right, Mayor, we have the 29th to do it.
Right.
Just make sure we have that by the 29th then.
And if you can make sure he somehow gets it to me tomorrow, please.
I can try to do that email again, or I can have him write it down for you and
Yeah.
give it to
The
you.
reason I'm saying this is because it happened once, and I remember it. Okay, Now we're gonna go into the monthly updates. Police.
Still actively looking for the 39-hour person. We've moved some money around from unused areas into the training line, so they have ongoing training. Everything's going well. And I want to bring up something in the executive that the commissioner had brought up to me yesterday, so I want to wait till executive for that.
Is that it?
That's it.
Finance?
Nothing to report, other than we're gonna have to find a new treasurer. That's probably obvious.
And that's very important, and I wanted to discuss that with the board too, while we're on that. I have the advertisement written up
Put that in the
that I would like you all to review later tonight.
Yeah,
And if you vote to have me put that in the paper, I can get that in like really quick into the Poughkeepsie Journal,
perfect.
okay?
Thank you.
Highway,
Nothing to report.
Fire and Lake,
Fire, we had 21 calls for the month of November, and really nothing else going on.
Safety, I have an inspection scheduled for the 21st, one of the village buildings. The trip hazards on West Main Street have been addressed for the most part, except for now it's winter and we're not going to be able to do what we planned on doing to smooth them out with the pavement. And the contractor who said he would be able to remove the one that's leaning has not provided me with a price yet. So that's where we are with that. Recreation,
Nothing at this moment.
water.
Well, just backtrack a little bit. So for recreation and park and rec, I think the part-time employee is finishing up as of Friday. That would be Timmy Barry.
Correct.
Pardon?
It'll be on, I think the 9th they said, 9th or 10th?
Yeah, it's so Friday. I think.
Friday.
Yeah,
Friday.
yeah.
John, you gonna tell them?
Yeah, I'll tell him. I gotta say, that fella did an outstanding job under far less than ideal conditions.
Yes.
He really jumped right in there and he got on that cart, did everything on his own, required very minimal supervision at all. It would be a plus for us, I think, to bring him back.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay.
Water?
Order, Mayor.
We should all be in receipt via email of the update that the grant writer has provided. So you see that the number one issue was the water filtration plant.
That's right here. I gave everyone a
Right.
copy.
And so she's working diligently and she'll be talking with all the department heads on items. And I'll let the attorney talk about the meeting with the joint water board that he had on Zoom yesterday. And because we are in negotiations for the backup water supply.
Okay, as everybody knows, Mayor has been putting full court press on a plan to get the plan to get a backup water supply system in place to satisfy the Dutchess County Department of Health. And the plan calls for the availability of 500,000 gallons per day as an emergency system from the Joint Water Board. And the Joint Water Board is comprised of the City of Poughkeepsie and the Town of Poughkeepsie. Yesterday, I went before the Joint Water Board. They had our request in on the agenda, and I spoke to the Water Board there. I sent you all an email, and I'll repeat what was discussed and what was voted on. The first order of business, though, was a conflict waiver that was voted on because Jim Horan is a member of Wallace and Wallace, and I am the attorney to the Village of Wappingers Falls. So we basically would have two attorneys from the same law firm representing each board. It is a waivable conflict, and the Joint Water Board did waive that conflict. I would supply this board with a conflict waiver as well, and I'll do so at the workshop meeting on the 29th. So that, John, if you could just include that as an item of business for the workshop meeting, and that would be the adoption of the conflict waiver, so that I can work on a contract with the Joint Water Board on behalf of the village. The next order of business was a discussion between the Joint Water Board and the Village of Wappingers Falls. And the Joint Water Board wants to proceed as follows. They do want to, they mentioned that they never had this type of request for a neighboring municipality for a backup water supply. And they're going to come up with a proposed compensation to give to the village, and it would be the cost of transport, the cost of the water plus the cost of transport from their main facility to the village. And I asked them when they could get us that cost, and they said they would get us that particular aspect of the cost before the end of, before Christmas. So it'll probably be next week. The second aspect of the compensation, because they're not going to charge a pay or, what is it? No.
Take or
pay, thank you, TOP. Take or pay contract with the village, which is good. We would only have to pay for our consumption, but in lieu of reserving 500,000 gallons per day, their reasoning being that it could be used for a different end user on a sale, and we're taking away from that. They're going to propose an annual fee that the village would have to pay for the right to have a 500,000 gallon reserve of water on a daily basis for our backup water plan.
So it's a gimmick.
So even if we never use it, we have to pay them?
Yes.
Pay them something.
But there's another aspect of this. There's phase two, and the phase two, I can't really explain the technical aspects of this valve system, but apparently there's only a one-way valve from the town of Poughkeepsie to the village because there's a discrepancy in water pressure.
Correct.
And that discrepancy is higher on the town side. This two-way valve, I guess, would equalize the pressure and allow water, once we have our capabilities up and running, we would have the capability to provide the town with a backup water source as well. So it'd be a two-way street, and it would probably.
That would only occur though after the plant is upgraded.
Plant's upgraded, and that valve system is designed and installed. And
So we're asking them for water to be our emergency system.
to comply with the directive.
And we're
as
gonna
well
be
from
theirs?
Department of Health. Well, down the road, that's the overall plan.
We're capable of that?
Not yet,
Well,
not now.
if not now, but if the plant gets, they do the filtration, more than enough water.
And that'll offset
That'll offset that annual fee.
That annual fee?
Yeah. But at the moment, we don't have our water.
But we don't know what the annual fee is gonna be.
Yeah.
No,
No.
we'll get numbers when they provide them. They must have clearly they must have a dollar amount in mind already.
Well,
So-
we're gonna get a proposed contract.
Yeah, we're gonna get a proposal from them, that's right.
Okay, personnel, Trustee Nesnick?
There's a question from, wait a minute.
Nothing right now.
Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
excuse me.
So in the future, are we going to be able to rely on our own water source again?
As long as the upgrade is made for filtration, we have more than enough water. The problem is the water now has been infiltrated with manganese.
And when
Okay,
is that going to be taken care of?
well, there's two designs right now. One is another gigantic filter plant that would be bordering the property lines off of West Main Street. I don't know what the other two houses are, but one is the Viscusi house, the old Ray Dolan house. If we go with that project, that is huge. That's like, well, that last report, it was 4.5 million bucks. If you go with the in-house adjustments to the existing plant, you can, all said and done, you can probably get out between $1.5 million bucks or so.
Now, what are you saying, the Bacrusi's house? You would have to buy that?
No. The plant would be basically off the fence line, back in that corner.
In the backyard.
Yeah. So, that's two options now. The operators and the water commissioners are leaning towards option 2, that second item, the second plant, the one that costs less, because that would meet the demand and the needs of what is needed to get the manganese out of the water. Curiously enough, the Board of Health is more concerned with the backup water plan that the village provide as opposed to the filtration plant, only because, according to them right now, the water meets their standard approval for water. It's just, there's just been so many complaints about the manganese in the water. Okay, and so, and I mean, and the water operators, they know about the manganese for sure, because they've been doing things to limp this plant along to mitigate.
How long is it going to take to get this going?
Long time, right?
Pardon?
A long time, right? And
Well-
we don't even have the funds.
Well,
No, to the extent now they are looking at engineering to engineer the new system, the new plant, and they'll be having specs made ultimately fairly soon. Then you gotta go through a bid process. So, I mean, this is probably gonna be an ongoing 18-month to 2-year project. And in the meantime, we only have one well, and that's the one that's loaded with the manganese. And that's, I mean, we won't run out of water if in fact the well went down. If well 7 absolutely shut down, we make one phone call to town of Poughkeepsie, and I have to believe Jay Baisley will tell him, turn the valve on. So we'll have water.
Mayor, to clarify, the Poughkeepsie Water Board is looking to charge a rate based upon the cost to produce plus the cost to transport.
I understand.
Okay, so that's,
We need to see that number
We need to see
because there may be the rate might have to go up based upon what they're offering us.
Either way, it's gonna go up. You don't think they're gonna give it to us, do you?
Oh, no, but it's,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
it may be higher than our rate, and we'd have to somehow raise the rate to make up that difference. That's,
Pushing it right out.
All right, any other questions?
well, you got personnel.
Personnel, trustee Nesnick?
Nothing at this time, other we have a lot of job openings.
Yeah. And sewer, in this letter from the grant writer, you'll see that that was the second item, was a shovel-ready, the sewer project that's shovel-ready in Dutchess Plaza. So,
That was a great, you know, Mrs. Job, Lori Java, that was a great document that she gave us.
she's excellent on her.
I feel pretty confident. That was a pretty impressive document that she gave us, I thought. So I'm very happy that we, last meeting, went to do that. I feel like it's lucky for us to have that in our lap at this time.
Well, if we don't get any grants, it won't be for lack of effort, I can tell you that.
I agree.
We have a question, Mayor.
Yes,
So Lori is our new grant writer?
yes.
Oh, when did that happen?
Last month.
Oh,
So, Mayor, you can open it up for public discussion at this point.
Any other questions?
Any other statements in general?
Yeah.
People I have not met, excuse me, Ann, trustee, and Pat, I spoke to you on the phone, and John recommended that I speak to Ann Ponte about the potential prospects of collaboration with the Parks Recreation as well as the Village Planning Board in plans to revisit the beautification program.
You're the one who texted me.
Yes, I am.
Sorry,
It's okay, I
I
understand.
didn't get back yet.
And I've been, in the meantime, making a lot of progress on my own. I've visited a number of committees and other villages that are involved in exploring beautification programs, Rhinebeck included, and I'm actually sitting and working with a number of people up there, trying to see how we can collaborate in moving forward and finding a balance between grants, potential of establishing a 501c, or looking at the potential of potentially looking at taxes and how that might be an avenue that they might be going toward for maintenance, for long-term maintenance for their trees. The tree commission up there, Meg Crawford, she's just amazing, and they did an entire inventory of all of the trees and available spaces all throughout their village. I'm working on some Photoshop images for them as a volunteer. And so Red Cedar is backing me in exploring these options, just being kind of a voice of ideas and a visionary in terms of looking at what our villages might be able to learn from one another and how we can start to increase our overall appeal and look for the village. And I think that Wappingers Falls is already on its way there, but I just want to be part of the process and revisit all of the rough edges that need to be polished.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I think that concludes the printed portion of tonight's agenda. If you want to go into executive session.
I just wanted to say one thing before we go into executive. I just wanted to acknowledge the opening of a new business that we had in the village in Danush Plaza. It's called Piece of the Game. I had the honor of going to their ribbon cutting and opening, and it was The guy did a great job. It's in Danoush Plaza. The storefront's beautiful. It's a sports collectible memorabilia shop. And the guy's very involved in donating, giving back to the community, sports for young kids. And he's a great guy, and it's a great business. And if you get a chance, you should check it out.
Good.
Good.
Thanks for going.
I have something.
It's,
Right in Danoush Plaza, where the billiard shop was previously,
yeah.
on Route 9.
All right.
It looks beautiful from the road.
Put a lot of money in it. It's a beautiful store.
Cool.
Giving them.
I'm glad you attended. I had a conflict. I couldn't make it.
I have something, Mayor.
What's that?
I have something I'd like to add.
Sure.
We had a meeting last night up at the Firehouse S.W. Johnson. This year it's its 150th this coming year. And we're going to have a birthday party.
It's sesquicentennial
Yeah.
time.
We're going to have a birthday party for the members at the firehouse. So it's going to be a gathering for the members. And we're purchasing fireworks, and we want to put them on the lake. So I don't know if I need permission.
I think you should ask.
So I'm asking permission if we can put fireworks on the lake. It'd be April 22nd.
Can we look at them even if we're not a member?
Yeah. But it's going to be in April. So bring a coat.
So why don't you make that in the form of a motion, permission to grant S.W. Johnson fireworks
I'll make a motion to permission S.W. Johnson
to allow their
150th fireworks display on the Village of Wappers Falls Lake.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mayor votes aye.
Hey,
With
anything
that
else?
said,
One last thing, tomorrow I guess they're gonna have, just trustee Sadati reminded me, they're having, is tomorrow Friday?
no, tomorrow's
Sunday. Well, Friday, they are having a ribbon cutting at the new River Valley Arts Center
Right.
at 9, South Missouri, it's at 4. I won't be able to be there, but,
At 4?
Friday
Four.
before.
yeah, you should. It's done a tremendous amount of work, so,
I heard that.
cool, that's it.
When is it? 4 o'clock?
Friday at 4.
Friday at 4. Maybe they'll have their grease trap in.
Bring the big scissors.
You can stay and we can eat. Okay, Mayor, do you want to go into
Is there a
exec?
motion to
I'll make it.
I'll
adjourn?
second it.
Trustee Huber, trustee Loriselli.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Carried.
If it's 125.
Yeah, I love the,